And now, Uninformed with Bill Burr and Joe DeRosa. No reading, no research, just strong opinions.
Hey, what's going on? It's Bill Burr and Joe DeRosa with our first live Uninformed in about a year.
It's been that long, right?
Has it been a year? And
Jeez.
We got Danny back on the board. It's like the old days.
Just like the good old days.
It's like the good old days, except, we're going to be filling up, half hour here?
Yeah, probably a little less with the break time that we have to give.
Jesus Christ.
All right, let's get right to it.
Let's get right to it. What's up with that OJ? Is this guy crazy?
Let's get right to it. Our last Uninformed aired on the November 22nd. It was taken from a pre-recorded, and not the whole thing. 2 hours of it was taken from a pre-recorded session in D.C. The third hour was cut because Bill and I got into the two worst fights of our in our whole friendship.
Such an epic, horrific argument. Danny, I literally broke my headphones. I was so fucking mad at him.
I don't doubt. I can't. Well, I'm not gonna say the number, but I've broken a few pairs of headphones over my days.
Did you do it on air as they were like recording it with some stranger just staring at you?
So, well, I heard you guys had problems, and I'll take responsibility and apologize on behalf of XMDC.
Please, it was we let a little of the technique show that day. We didn't keep the curtain up, so we fought whatever, and then we made up, right? And we're like, all right, that was a crazy fight, but here's what we did wrong or whatever, and this is what we need to not do. And then the following week, we were in Nashville together.
Oh, Dan, you got to hear this because he did 19 different things. We've basically been doing the Uninformed show. Me and Joe have been going around trying to hype this radio show, trying to get it off the ground. So Joe is basically featuring for me on the road, and as a feature act, there's certain things that you just got a common courtesy of the fact that somebody has to do 50 minutes to an hour after you. And I think pretty much right down the checklist, he broke every goddamn rule. It was the third show in Nashville Zanies. It was a late night crowd, right? And it was basically in defense of Joe. It was rednecky. There was the big fat black dude, gangster rapper guy.
Yeah.
And then some college people.
Yeah.
So Joe goes up there and it's a drunk ass crowd. So Joe goes, I know, I'll open with a political joke. I believe that's, so he opens up with some comment about the state of the political atmosphere, right? And immediately, right after he does the joke, the big black dude goes, boo, right? He booed him. But then he sort of ducked down playfully behind his girlfriend. So I'm like, all right, this guy's just being a knucklehead. But Joe immediately stops the show. He's like, what are you booing me? What do you have your hand up trying to squint into the
I went right into, Danny, when I go into I'm going to protect my feelings, my character.
Oh, I know what he's saying.
I went right into that.
He goes, are you booing me? You booing the joke or my political opinion? That's what he says to this big thug. And he goes, I'm booing your joke, nigga. That's what he said, right? So then Joe goes, don't call me nigga. I'm a white person. He takes this as a really serious dude. And now he is just full on, he has dug a hole, and then people pull back, and then he goes, oh, what, is everybody pulling back because I said nigger? And then he just kept saying it over and over again, and then you said, but
wait, let me interject here for my own standing. I was not saying it like calling the black dude
the
N-word. I was just repeating what he said, and I was like, and I was trying to say that. I was going, I just repeat what he said to me, that's all. I'm not... And
then he thought the crowd got offended because he said it, and it was more like they were just kind of sitting there waiting for him to get to his first joke. But Joe is in a defensive place at this point because this guy was being an asshole. That Joe literally thought that that people couldn't handle him, like he was being too dangerous for him. And dude, it just fucking unraveled from there.
Yeah.
He basically ended his set talking to some woman. He goes, oh, you want to hear a joke? I'll give you a joke. And he says to some lady in the crowd, he goes, knock, knock. And she goes, who's there? And he goes, you're a cunt. Right? And then he goes to another lady, and he goes,
no, it was two guys, though. It was two guys.
It was two guys?
Yeah, it was guys. Yeah.
Okay, who's there? And he goes, you're a cunt, too, dude. And I'm standing backstage as he's just bombing this whole burning the whole room down, waiting to go on. And then he does some sort of happy trail. I apologize to the club, and hey. So win some, you lose some, and he fucking walks off and
then just basically puts the ball in your glove and goes,
oh yeah,
have at it.
But now here's where things went wrong. Okay, I was genuinely upset about the way the show went. I was mad at myself. I was mad at the audience. I was just all around upset, and I felt terrible and lousy about it, right? So I came off stage, and I turned to Bill, and I was like, that wasn't my fault. He's like, well, here's what you should have done different. I go, you're right. And I go, fuck. And I was so mad, but we didn't have time to talk about it. So he goes on stage, right? While he's on stage dealing with it, and in my head, legitimately, I'm like, I feel bad and this sucks. I get cornered by a local comedian who schools me on comedy for 45 minutes.
But he was right, dude.
I know, but you know.
This is what he's skipping, Danny. Danny, I literally went on stage. He so burned down the room. I bombed for 8 minutes trying to get this crowd back. And, like, the black dude jumped all over me because he hadn't, just the situation he fucking created. Oh, and there's another thing, too. We gave him the light. And in that situation as a comedian, if you get the light and some guy's got to do an hour, you get off. Joe thought it was, well, that's my 5-minute wrap-up. And he continued for 5 more minutes. Knock, knock, who's there? You're a cunt. Who
do you think you are, Patrice?
Yeah, I know. Who am I? So the point I'm getting at was that I felt bad. But then I get cornered and I get lectured by this dude. And I'm like, dude, when you're getting lectured and you're going, dude, I know. I tried to take it a certain way. It didn't work. Leave me alone. Like, I get it. And he just kept coming back to it, and he wouldn't drop it. I'm like, dude, so by the time he gets off stage, now...
Joe, you deserved a tongue lashing. But you really did.
That's fine, but I'm saying a tongue lashing for 10 minutes, dude. And from you.
And
from you. Not from the host. You know what I'm saying? Come on. So, by the time Bill gets off stage, I'm now in full-fledged, like, fuck it mode. I did what I did, and that was it. I'm tired of saying I'm sorry. So then Bill doesn't get the apology from me that I should have given him. He sees me talking to these chicks and just acting like I don't give a fuck. That infuriates him.
So the next day, Danny, I get to the airport, and I try to have a calm conversation with Joe, and I literally start screaming the F word in the airport. Like, to the point this lady with kids was telling me to be quiet. And I'm just like, dude, you have not earned the fucking right to go on in front of somebody and say cunt 50. Joe, you said cunt 52 times, screaming this in the fucking Nashville airport. So it literally escalates to this fight that Joe ends up sending me a Dear John letter the next day saying he's moving out of my apartment and he's not doing the Uninformed show anymore.
It was classic Burr DeRosa fight because it was like one of those things where everything we were both saying, the other guy wasn't hearing it. He was just hearing it as an insult. Like at one point, Bill goes, "We do Carolines. I don't want you doing all the cunt, fuck it, whatever." And what I was trying to say was, Bill, I know I said cunt on the other shows where I wasn't bombing, but that was a bit I was doing about the word cunt, and that's all I was trying to translate. But the way it comes out is, Bill, that's just the material I'm doing right now. You know,
that's what he said to me. I go, Joe, you don't say cunt 52 fucking times when somebody has to go on after you. You do that, and you're going to do a fuck Jesus bit. There goes all the women and the black people in the crowd. They're already pulled back, and I got to go on after that shit. And then on top of that, you're ending your set. Knock, knock, who's there? You're a cunt.
And then
Joe literally goes to me. Listen to Danny. He literally goes to me. He goes, sorry. He goes, hey, well, that's just where my act is right now. Like he's some fucking jazz singer.
And then Bill goes, fuck you, you're off the fucking Caroline show.
You're off the Uninformed tour. So
Bill, he artistically moved on to cunt.
Yeah.
That's where
I didn't know he was so offended by the word cunt. I had no idea.
Joe.
So,
you know the word cunt is really taboo.
I know, but we say it a lot. We say it a lot to each other. We say it a lot on the show.
Joe, you were saying it like you were from England. You know, people from England can just say cunt and it's funny.
But I could see how that would alienate a crowd, especially a crowd that's not really familiar.
But in all fairness, the other shows that I did say it on, there was no groans. People laughed. It was fine.
Joe, no, I'm going to tell you. Going to tell you something there, youngster.
All right.
When you have to do an hour after a guy who says cunt like 15 times, there's a certain part of the show that is over now. Like, you've turned the word cunt into, like, the word the. It doesn't mean anything. So that really, like, it affects how I have to start the show. All I had to say to you, though, was, Joe, could you do me a favor? Could you keep it to under 9 cunts in a 25-minute set?
And if you said that, I would have went, sure, dude.
Yeah, but of course. But I went to the place where, like, I don't have any power for some reason in my head. I treated you like you were my dad, where I just didn't say anything to the point I just wanted to beat the shit out of you.
Yeah, so that happened, right? And, wow, we already have a caller. That's great. Was that the show when Joe killed... we should hear what that person says, just because it's...
Well, where's Danny? Where did Danny
go? He just left the room.
Who's been fucking eating pizza and text messaging. I like how we were pretending like Danny was listening as we were telling the story, as he was text messaging.
Well, there's an audience now. We have callers. But listen.
Now we want to take a caller, and we're not near the board.
We both went to the wrong place. I went to Bravado Zone, and you went to you're against me or whatever. You know what I mean? Powerless Zone, whatever. We get this huge fight. You fire me from the tour, and then that's when I went home. I sat for a couple days on it, and then I sent Bill a Dear John letter saying, I love you and you're my friend, but I think I should move out of the apartment. But we shouldn't do Uninformed anymore, and I hope one day we can be pals again.
And you know what this is, Danny? This is all his ego. Where I kicked him off the tour, so now he has to somehow get me back by moving out of the apartment. So I literally called him up and I'm like, Joe, why are you pulling a Jackie the Joke Man right now? You're really going to move out of this sweet apartment to go live up on 197th fucking street with 3 roommates again?
That letter was an ego. That letter was like, dude, you were so mad at me, I didn't know what to do. I was like,
Joe,
I didn't know what to do.
Joe, when you said, I'm sorry, man, that's where my act is right now. When like he gets in his fucking, he's like a Wolverine. Like he just will not back down on any fucking level.
No, I understand it because that's how I am too. I'm very reactionary, and like a lot of times I know what I'll do is when I'm fighting with somebody, it's like the end all be all of everything. It's like and meanwhile I know a lot of times the other person, it's no big deal like a day later or 2 days later.
Right.
But I can't let it go in the moment, and that's all I'll think about.
And also too, my saying, hey, just for material, that was after 10 minutes of you saying, fuck you, who the fuck are you, you're fucking nothing. You know, dude.
I didn't say you fucking nothing. I said you haven't earned the right to do that yet, dude.
But the way you were speaking to me, you gotta, I mean, come on, dude. It gets to a point where you're like.
Because I felt so disrespected that you would, like, I just didn't feel like you had any concern that I had to go on. It was already a fucked up crowd. And not only that, like, I just felt you made the wrong call in the beginning. Like, I thought, hey, let's take one of these calls, man. Was this
See
guy
what that
at the
Nashville
show?
guy says.
The Nashville guy. Maybe he was on the...
Mark in Nashville, what's up?
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's going on, man?
I was at one of the earlier shows where Joe walks out there, and within 5 seconds, he's saying cunt to some drunk bitch in the audience.
Yeah, she was a cunt.
Oh, my God. So Joe just throws it all off, and poor Bill's up there. And this Nashville is the belt buckle of the Bible Belt. And Bill's up there doing his set, and the crowd is just kind of laughing. I'm up on the top row, and there's some douchebag just kind of going, oh, that's not right, the whole time. It was a shitty crowd.
Yeah, you're actually, if it was the upper balcony, there was definitely not an upper balcony crowd there. But thanks for calling in, man. Thanks for coming up to the shows down there. But, yeah, no, but Joe, like, see, like what you're saying, hey, she was a cunt. She's being a cunt. I'm saying, like, I don't know if you're...
I'm being funny right now.
Oh. Like, as far as how you came up as a stand-up comedian, was there any sort of like when I came up in Boston, like you were kind of educated as to what the etiquette, if you're the feature act, there's just certain things you didn't do, and one of them was you didn't say cunt because usually the headliner
there was
would then become a cunt and toss you off.
There was no like, hey, here's what you do, here's what you don't do. The way I was brought up through this was the headliner will make clear to you, either from himself or through the club, what his quote-unquote rules are. And whenever I worked with a headliner that didn't want certain things said, the club would come to me and say, listen, this guy, you can't say this, can't say that. So literally, if as friends, I swear to you, dude, if you would have said to me, please don't do that, I would have went, sure, dude, no problem.
I know, I know you would have. I assumed that you had that thing. But, Joe, just to tell you, though, like, in the future, if you're ever in a situation like that and a guy has to go on after you and do an hour, like, when you get the light, wrap it up and try to land the planes somewhere in the swamp. Just give me a chance to crawl out like a couple of Leonard Skinner band members. Somehow, you just fucking... That's what pissed me off was... You burned the room down, and then you walked off stage like one of those old Rat Pack things. Like the way you were talking was like you had your sport coat over your shoulder. Like, well, I guess
I just didn't know what to do at that point. But that's why when I came into the green room,
no, you were visibly upset. But dude, just do me a favor, and if just for other guys that you're going to work with or whatever, it's just like if you're doing that, like.
You're pretty much the only one at this point.
Well, if you get the light, dude, if it's going bad like that, wrap it up. Don't go to knock, knock, who's there, you're a cunt. Which, dude, is hilarious. That is fucking hilarious. If I just had to do 10 minutes after you, I wouldn't have given a shit. Like,
right.
But, like, I had, because I was already like, dude, it was brutal to watch because I didn't want to see him bomb, and I just kept, every time he should have zigged, he should have zagged, and it was
one of those things, I lost control of it, and I didn't know what to do. And I was
You're
trying
like fucking-
desperately through some self-deprecation and some material and some antagonistic behavior to make it work. And although there were moments where the situation itself was funny, obviously it was not a good show and I wasn't happy about it. But
dude, Danny, it was one of the ugliest fights.
I can imagine.
it was brutal, dude.
Well, Stephen S. from Bayshore says, Joe, stop being a cunt, you cunt. And Josh in Philly brings up a good point because he's saying that this is kind of like what Bill did at the Virus store in Philly. Because
No,
people
and this is the thing. This is the thing about that was when I was going to get off stage, like I thought Opie and Anthony were going to be mad at me. I thought Jim, and he's right on like a certain level, but it was like one of those deals where it was like, that was a situation that was like, see, the host went up and had a good set on the night Joe had his meltdown. Joe went up, made a bad call, and then it unraveled. And like, it happens to everybody. But the Philly thing was like, the first guy out of the gate gets booed. Then a couple other guys go up, they do okay, and they're still getting booed. And then fucking Dom Irrera gets booed. And they were just animals by the time they came out there. But even then, that's a good point where I probably shouldn't have done that. So maybe that was my
Bill,
my
and
etiquette.
like,
That's a decent point that he brought that up. And I was definitely, when I thought Jim was going to be mad at me. Like I was sitting there like, what I did right there was really because it's really selfish what I did in Philly in a way where it's like, I can't get you, so I'm gonna, but I was just, spontaneously angry. But I definitely had that in the back of my head where I was like, dude, and to give me a little slack, it was 10,000 fucking people booing me. What am I supposed to do, dude?
but it's like, but understand.
This was 18 people in the crowd.
Exactly,
No, I know,
and I'm sure they weren't as not letting it go as that Philly crowd was. Like they just weren't letting any, like you couldn't get in edgewise. So I guess there is kind of a difference there.
But understand too, I did feel bad. I'm not saying I did, but in my head as it's happening, I'm thinking of the camp. I'm thinking of you and Bobby and Patrice and Norton and these radio shows, and it's like these guys are being dicks to me, and I'm telling them they're fucking assholes. And like there was just no thing in my head that said fuck this show, fuck Bill, whatever. It was just like,
you know what it was, Joe? This is the deal. As a comedian, you did the right thing, but as far as like the flow of the show, like
that sucks.
I was talking to Keith about it, and Keith was like, would you have done that? He's like, no, I definitely would have trashed a few people, but you got to make sure, like, it's one of those deals where when this host feature headliner, the feature's job, I mean, if you go up there with material and you just blow me out of the water and make my set hard, that's on me. But like, if it was just one of those things, dude. It's the third show Saturday night. I'm exhausted. I don't want to fucking do it. It's brutal. I like doing the shows, but it's like, I literally just had to cover myself with people like, okay, don't go to Bill's third show Saturday night.
No, it was, it was very unfortunate. It was an unfortunate thing that happened. It sucked, dude. And when we got into that argument afterwards, man, it was like,
Joe, what, it wasn't even that you did it because everybody's done shit like that. It was your I just felt this cavalier attitude that like, I don't know. I just felt like a disrespect where like, if Keith, Bobby or somebody like that, like we're kind of peers, we came up together and it's just like, okay, I understand he's got to do this kind of thing. And it was kind of like,
right. But
you're kind of the new guy coming into Vietnam.
But you said when I came in the green room, I was visibly upset. The Cavalier was on stage. It was the Cavalier was the cold shoulder to the audience.
Right.
When it was me and you in the green room, I was upset and I was like, dude, this sucks. And then again, you went on.
No, and I said, Joe, you handled it in. You said, that guy was a dick. We immediately just went to that. What I should have said to you, Joe, was I should have said, Joe, I'm starting to get mad here because I'm feeling like you're having a cavalier attitude, like you don't care what you just created out there. And that's another thing that was different than the Philly thing was the vibe wasn't there. You just made one little mistake.
Yeah,
like when you send a satellite out to Mars and if it's off by like fucking a tenth of a degree, you missed the planet by. It was like one of those sets where, I mean, dude, like I said, we've all had those things. But if you said cunt a few less times, maybe I wouldn't have been.
It was
maybe
just
I wouldn't have been as.
You would have gotten the full-fledged apology had I not gotten browbeaten by the host for 45. But then also, what doesn't help matters is. The owner of the club came in, and I go, sorry. He goes, who gives a shit? It's fine. Who cares? And like, it was great. Don't worry. And he leaves. And then I'm like, oh, so maybe it wasn't so bad. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay. And, you know, so it's like...
No, that same person came in when they felt me out. That one?
No, I mean the owner. The owner.
He wasn't there that night.
Yeah,
What,
he
you mean
was.
the next night?
No, he was there. That was
Dorfman wasn't there that night.
It was the Late Show Saturday. He was there Saturday night. It was Saturday. He said to me, he goes, "You did a great job all weekend. Don't worry about that show."
Oh, wait, that's right. He wasn't, because when you started it, he goes, "What is Joe doing?" I go, "He's trying to be Bill Hicks, the feature act." As you're out there, cunt.
Was he upset? He told me he literally was like, "Don't."
No, but this is the deal.
Nothing.
They were coming to me, feeling me out to see how I felt about it. That was another thing too. I felt like what's his face, who brought in Johnny Depp.
Did you kind of cover me? Thank you.
I totally covered for you. Because like that other girl, the other girl came in. What the fuck is Joe doing? What's he doing? I'm like, he's having a tough set, and then she sort of played it off. But if I wanted to be, I could have, if I.
I like how, by the way, first chance to have a live show, and we're just self-indulgent, just talking to each other.
No, this isn't interesting. We got one caller. What are you talking about? All right.
Yeah. So anyway, all said and done, Bill called me after I wrote the breakup letter and said, "Please don't do this. Let's stay together." And we're still here together, and everything's better.
That's not what I said.
I know.
I opened it.
Yeah, that's what you said.
Why are you being Jackie the Jokeman right now?
Dude, Bill, I swear to you, dude, that was not a fuck you move. That was like, I have pissed this guy off in a way, and he is so mad at me, and I don't know how we got into this position, but we're here. And
all right. You want to talk about getting into a position? Can we please talk about how OJ's going to go to jail, man? I mean, I just fucking... How do you fuck that up, dude? I don't understand how you can beat a double murder, but you steal somebody's sport coat, and you're fucking going to jail for like 9 years.
You stole a sport coat?
Somebody had one of his jerseys, and he broke into their Super 8 fucking hotel room.
I thought that's what it was, his jersey. I thought it was like a statue.
No, I don't know what happened. Somebody was going to jail. The fucking guy... Not just a murder, double murder. That's a classic. A double fucking murder.
That's a classic case of karma. Something in the universe was like, yeah, you got away with the murder, but here you go.
Well, I mean, also, I think there's a lot of white people in enforcement want to fucking get him, too.
By the way, that's how
so
you get
know
caught
that.
again.
Not saying that's right or wrong, but what I'm saying is that fucking guy, you got to know that's coming down. What the fuck are you thinking? Maybe he's thinking, hey, I got away with a double murder. What is this?
That's how you get caught again.
Grand larceny? This is no biggie.
That's what I'm saying. It's the arrogance of I got away with it. Fuck it.
Do you think oh, what are we doing? Oh,
1 minute.
This is it for the show?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're out of time.
Jesus
I know,
Christ.
it flies by. It always
All right,
does.
real quickly, I'm going to be at Caroline's tonight with Joe DeRosa doing the rest of the last dates on the Uninformed tour until we have some more markets coming up. And I'll be at the Wilbur Theater in Boston, Massachusetts, February 6th, and Chicopee, February 7th.
All right, February 6th, my half-hour Comedy Central Presents special airs at 10:30 p.m.
Nice.
And please go to myspace.com/Joe DeRosa to see other gigs in your area.
Okay, thank you for listening.
Sucked. To hear the Opie and Anthony Show 5 days a week live on satellite radio, online on your phone or tablet, or even on demand, go to SiriusXM.com. Also, interact with the Opie and Anthony Show on Twitter, @Opie Radio, @Anthony Cumia, and @Jim Norton.